Hello, this is Lauren,
And this is Sunny.
and today we're going to be evaluating the science and policy on Acoustic Kitty. There are assumptions that keeping science away from political and social concerns will keep science reliable. But the degree of reliability does not need to be value-free. Values in science are essential because they're important to have ethical considerations and reasonable scientific methods and reasoning for effective contributions. There must be some values in science. Scientists have moral responsibilities to weigh the societal and political consequences. Special and ethical values are needed to amend these judgments.
Ethics with direct and indirect values can provide a set of guidelines which can be helpful during the scientific process. Acoustic Kitty, what is it? It happened during the period of the Cold War and was done by the CIA in order to find new types of spyware. The project itself was where the CIA ended up training and trying to put a microphone and radio into a cat to formulate their own type of live spyware that they could train to walk up and be discreet to their enemies and wanting to listen in onto those conversations without sending off any alarms.
So now we'll be talking about the direct and indirect rules. Direct rules are which projects are worth pursuing, what are we deeming as ethical, was the government right in funding this project, and was there any valuable information learned from it? They intended to be used to spy on the Soviets with these cats. The government funded it because it seemed like a good idea. Cats are discreet, they're not like dogs that you can easily train, so they saw it as ethical enough for the time. They had a vet as well, so they thought that that would be good for ethical concerns. However, some people would disagree because they're still using animals. During the time of the Cold War, they thought this would be a great idea, so they spent many tax dollars on what ended up being a failed experiment, because unfortunately, the cat died after being hit by a car. Money could have been spent better in other spyware in inanimate objects. At the time, the government thought it was good, but retrospectively, it did not turn out well, as they lost the cat, and the funding was only for one cat and was $20 million.
Looking at the indirect values of this experiment, we're weighing in the sufficiency of evidence of whether or not the Acoustic Kitty would prove reasonable to spy on others through direct experimentation and observation. What happened? The outcomes of this project is they learned that the hardware they created for this cat was able to produce a microphone which they could hear from without that outside noise that was causing an issue in their previous spyware. It was discreet enough, but unfortunately, as mentioned before, it was hit by a car, so there was not sufficient evidence in it could work because it was no evidence was gathered on the field or no data. And there was no empirical claim that could be made on how beneficial it could have been to the United States. Are the guidelines for this, based on the guidelines for studies, is this one okay? Is it ethical? Lauren and I think that it is definitely not ethical because of the treatment of this cat and using it more as an object rather than a living being that has pain in dictors and stuff. And they also took out parts of the cat that it needs to function, such as the part of the brain that allows it to tell when it's hungry, which is not okay because now it's just more of a robot and an object to them, which is really sad. And another thing is, if other countries found out about this, if this project were to be successful and if it somehow leaked outside of the CIA, there could be great amounts of paranoia within all the countries involved, not knowing what animals or what around them could be actual spyware listening in on them. And other countries themselves could also start experimenting on animals and trying out their own inhumane types of spyware